Manchester United fans have been burned before. Big names get dangled, hopes get raised, and then the deal falls through at the last minute. So when word broke that United's move for Atalanta's Ederson had collapsed over medical concerns, you'd forgive supporters for bracing for another summer of frustration. Instead, within days, United pivoted to a completely different kind of signing, one that split opinion right down the middle. Some are calling it shrewd business. Others are calling it underwhelming. So let's actually break down why Youri Tielemans might be exactly what Old Trafford needs. Start with the mechanics of how this deal even happened, because it tells you everything about the situation United found themselves in. Tielemans has a £35 million release clause buried in his Aston Villa contract, and crucially, he's under contract until 2028. Villa didn't want to sell him. They'd offered him new terms months earlier specifically to avoid this scenario. But a release clause doesn't care about intentions, it's a legal trigger, and once United activated it, Villa had no power to stop the move. That's a brutal position for Unai Emery to be in, especially given reports he wanted to build his entire midfield around Tielemans alongside Boubacar Kamara and Amadou Onana next season. Which brings us to the timing, because this didn't come out of nowhere. United's real target this window was always midfield reinforcement, full stop. Casemiro's departure left a gaping hole at the base of the team, and then Manuel Ugarte tore knee ligaments playing for Uruguay at the World Cup, turning a squad depth issue into a genuine crisis. United had already agreed a deal for Chelsea's Andrés Santos, and they thought Ederson would complete the rebuild. Personal terms were done, and an initial medical had even taken place. But when Ederson underwent a second round of medical checks after the World Cup, something flagged and United walked away. With that door closing, at least for now, United needed a plan that could move fast, enter the release clause. Now, here's where it gets interesting, because Tielemans isn't some panic buy plucked out of nowhere. He's a player who's been quietly excellent in England for years without ever getting the credit he probably deserves. 8 seasons in the Premier League, an FA Cup winner with Leicester, where he scored the winning goal in the 2021 final. A Europa League winner with Villa last season, where he opened the scoring in the final against Freiburg with a stunning volley from a set piece. 90 caps for Belgium, and he captained them all the way to the World Cup quarter-finals this summer, only missing the loss to Spain after picking up an injury in the warm-up. This isn't just experience for experience's sake either, it's exactly the kind of dressing room asset a young United midfield desperately needs. Andrés Santos is only 21 and Kobbie Mainoo is still learning the rhythms of a demanding season. Having a player who's genuinely seen it all at club and international level sitting next to them in training every day is the kind of education you simply can't fast-track any other way. On the pitch, what makes Tielemans genuinely appealing for United is the profile he offers. He's a progressive passer capable of breaking lines and shifting play from one box to the other, a job that's fallen almost entirely on Bruno Fernandes' shoulders at United for years, with no real second option to share that load. He's also far from a passenger without the ball. His tackle success rate is among the best of any Premier League midfielder, and Villa insiders will tell you their entire title challenge unravelled the moment he suffered an ankle injury in February. A side that had won 10 of 13 league games suddenly lost 4 of their next 7 without him marshalling the midfield. But that ankle injury actually points to a genuine concern here, and it would be wrong to ignore it. Tielemans has just been through the worst injury run of his career. Across 2025 to 26, he missed 23 matches for club and country through a combination of ankle and calf problems, sidelined for more than 100 days in total, and he only just returned to full fitness in time for the World Cup before another knock forced him out of Belgium's quarter-final defeat to Spain in the warm-up. Add to that the fact he's played senior football since he was 16, with a huge amount of mileage already in his legs, and it's easy to see why some at United will want reassurances over his fitness before getting carried away. There's also a subtler, more stylistic weakness worth mentioning. At just 176 centimeters, he can be physically outmuscled by bigger Premier League runners, and analysts have occasionally pointed to spells where he lets games drift past him rather than imposing himself the way his talent suggests he could. Tactically though, he still gives Michael Carrick genuine flexibility when fit. He can sit in a double pivot, screening the defense and dictating tempo from deep, or push higher as more of an advanced 8, closer to goal and combining with the front line. Either way, the theme is control. United want to dominate matches rather than react to them. There's also the Gary Pallister factor, worth mentioning because it reflects a real strand of fan sentiment. The former United defender didn't hold back, calling the move underwhelming and pointing to names like Elliot Anderson and Sandro Tonali as the kind of marquee additions fans had hoped for instead, both of whom went elsewhere alongside Matheus Fernandes, who United lost out on to Tottenham. But context matters here too. This isn't the end of the midfield rebuild. It was always the plan to sign 3 midfielders this summer, not 2, with Santos and Tielemans viewed internally as the first 2 pieces rather than the finished puzzle. With Ederson gone, reports now point to Roma's Manu Kone as the leading candidate to complete the trio, with United ready to move for around £50 million after his form for France at the World Cup pushed his value up. Alex Scott has also been mentioned, though Bournemouth are said to be resisting any sale. Either way, the message from inside the club is consistent. This was never just about patching over Casemiro and Ugarte's absences, it was about rebuilding the entire engine room in one window. Tielemans now, with a third name potentially following before deadline day, would tie the whole rebuild together far more neatly than any single marquee signing could. So is Tielemans a headline-grabbing statement signing? Probably not. But is he a smart, low-risk piece of business that solves a genuine problem in days rather than months, so long as his body holds up? That's much harder to argue against. A proven Premier League midfielder, available for a cut price fee purely because of a contractual quirk, walking into a midfield that desperately needed exactly what he offers, sometimes that's not underwhelming at all. Sometimes that's just good business dressed up as a lack of ambition. What do you think of the signing? Let us know in the comments. Remember to leave a like on the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel. Also, be sure to turn on post notifications so that you never miss out on any new videos. See you next time. Bye. It's here. The Goal 90 Mastery Mat has landed, built for the next generation of footballers. More control, faster feet, sharper confidence. With the Goal 90 app, every session is guided, every touch has purpose. Train at home, train every day. Level up in just 20 minutes. Launch offer is live. 30% off, plus free worldwide shipping. Don't miss the drop. Order now at Goal 90 Shop.
Average players train hard, elite players train smart. We didn't just build a mat, we engineered a blueprint for the 1%. Every line, every angle and every drill was crafted through months of studying elite player biomechanics. Translate muscle memory into matchday dominance. Goal 90's own training mat comes with the app to take you to the next level. Get yours today.